didn't understand the criticism in these. But yeah, people they are entitled if they want to. But what they are not entitled to bring speculation in. If I give an explanation, then they have to trust my words and to trust my explanation, and that's not right.
Well, Ten Hag has won 2 domestic trophies with United, and he feels winning a knockout tournament is tougher than securing a top 4 finish in the Premier League.
It's the most difficult probably, because in a tournament of 32, you have to be the best. But it's a target, and it's a road we want to go.
So would you say winning this tournament is harder than getting a top 4 place in the Premier League?
That's because in the end you get knockout stage. But I think it's don't look too far ahead from game to game. Let's first do 20. But as you know, we want to win all the competitions we are taking part in, and this is one of them. But you have to go game by game, and let's first focus on the first game.
United have been out training this afternoon as they gear up for tomorrow's game, and we can join our reporter Anton Toulouis.
Yeah, Manchester United are being put through their paces for the final time before they start their Europa League adventure. As you can see, players just coming out onto the pitch here at Carrington. And good news, obviously, there are some players out there that Manchester United fans are keen to see in first-team action. None more so than Rasmus Højlund. Now, we got a glimpse of him, didn't we, against Crystal Palace at the weekend. Erik confirming that the squad for that game will be the same for this one, but there will be rotation. So does that mean Manchester United's number 9 will be back? He was prolific in Manchester United's brief Champions League endeavours last season, scoring 5 goals in just 6 games. He'll be keen to show what Manchester United have been missing, and that is goals. Also, as I said, we are expecting rotation, so a big question mark about whether Marcus Rashford comes back into the team. A lot of criticism for the head coach about him not playing Marcus Rashford against Crystal Palace at the weekend, but he was citing rotation with a number of games Manchester United are playing. So does that mean that the England forward will be back in the reckoning against FC Twente tomorrow night? And will he be back in the goals like he was against Barnsley in Manchester United's last cup competition game? As you can see, the players then just about to be put through their stretches, about to start their warm-ups. At the back of that is Erik ten Hag talking to Bruno Fernandes. Now, this game for Erik ten Hag is one of some rare emotion. He's a former SC Twente player, came through the academy there, admits he's a fan and says sometimes you have to hurt the thing you love to be successful. Success is what Manchester United are targeting in this competition. Ten Hag very proud of the fact in his first 2 seasons at the club, he's won 2 trophies. He's desperate to make it 3 and to make the third one a European competition, not only guaranteeing silverware, but also Champions League football next year. Ten Hag admits winning the Europa League is harder than finishing top 4 in the Premier League. Manchester United's European competition starts tomorrow night.
Well, United are back in Premier League action this weekend on Super Sunday when Tottenham come to Old Trafford. Coverage starts from 4 o'clock on Sky Sports Premier League.
We saw it just seconds before that. We saw Erik ten Hag on the sidelines just kind of shaking his head. What are the kind of key takeaways from this performance from his United players tonight?
Well, the full-time whistle's just gone. It's ended 1-1. But I think he's shaking his head because one side of it, they could have gone and won it. And then the other side of it is they could have gone and lost it instantly on the same breakaway. So I think he's a little bit disappointed with that, and that's probably the 3rd time in this second half that they've kind of turned it down. So a couple of mixed emotions. This is a game that they should have seen through.
But how frustrating is that? Because it's almost like the tale of Crystal Palace again, when you go, well, you had some, you had a brilliant first half, but then the second half, you couldn't get you couldn't take those chances that you had, and then Crystal Palace came back. So it's a similar kind of tale.
Yeah, and it's about chances. They've had chances, efficiency, being ruthless in that attack. They've played well. Again, similar to Crystal Palace, didn't take their chances. Second half, they looked good. Came out first 20 minutes of the second half, looked good, comfortable. And then all of a sudden, they make one mistake. It's 1-1, and they look kind of shell-shocked a little bit. But again, it's a chance that Manchester United have thrown away, because it could have been 3 or 4-0. Or 3, I would say 3-2 would have been a fair result.
Just for United fans, it's easy to be so frustrated because you go again, like you've looked so confident and so good in that first half, but they just unravelled, really.
Yeah, unravelled, exactly. They had an opportunity to really put on a show, and they were, like I said, it's weird because in moments they played very, very well. Created chances, yes, didn't take them. Rashford had chances. Garnacho, when he came on, had chances. Xerxes could have had a couple of chances as well and scored. And it's almost a game. It feels disappointing when you 1-0 up and you look quite comfortable, and all of a sudden, bang, little mistake changes the course of the game. It feels almost like a bit of a loss, you know. So it's ended up 1-1. But I've got to say, 20 very impressive.
Yeah.
The right back Salah-Eddin, the left back, the right back Van Rouge, excellent. If you put both of those in a Manchester United shirt, they wouldn't look out of place. That's how good they were tonight.
We're just sort of watching pictures of them on the screen at the moment, just celebrating with the away fans, and incredible scenes in the away end.
Yeah, amazing. I think 4,000 or 5,000 fans from 20 that have travelled over. They're singing, they're dancing. Apparently, they were at the Manchester City game. They were at the Macclesfield game.
They can't get enough, can they?
They were yesterday. They went to every single game. But amazing. I love that. I love the attitude and the fans just singing, dancing, enjoying themselves. They come to see their team at Old Trafford. Their team has come away with a 1-1. And deserved.
Yeah. So we know Rodri is going to be out for a significant period of time with that ligament damage to his knee. But what makes him so special for Man City? What makes him such an important player? Well, let's have a look at his numbers, because since the start of last season in the Premier League, he ranks first for touches. This is not just for Man City, this is for all players in the Premier League. So you can see this is a player at the heartbeat of what Man City do. With his passing, again, tops the stats. And a lot of these passes come in the final third. So he's a player around the edge of the box, moving it around for City as they look to open up defences. But look, he can have an impact himself as well. 4 goals from outside the box. He had 8 goals in total last season and 9 assists. So he makes a real difference for City when he's got the ball at his feet. But look at this as well. Possession 1 in the middle third. He ranks 4th there, 136 times he's done that for Man City. So this is a player with and without the ball having a big impact for Man City. And when he's not there, there's a big impact as well. If we look here at his with and without, or Man City's with and without, since February the 5th, 2023, that was when Man City lost to Tottenham. And since then, you can see they've only lost 1 game when Rodri has been in the team. Man United fans might remember that, the FA Cup final at the end of last season. But look, 78 matches, just 1 defeat. It just shows what impact this player has, because when he's not there, Rodri, 16 matches, 5 defeats for Man City. He missed 4 games through suspension last season. Man City lost all of them. So, Rob, when we're talking about Rodri's injury, these are the sort of numbers that really underline how important his absence could be for Pep Guardiola.
This is an unbelievable story. Believe me, an unbelievable story. My little boy's in the academy at Chelsea. You know, I see the academy stuff now. That is phenomenal. For that kid to get into Arsenal, who's like a Rolls Royce of a football club, a massive football club, at 16 years of age and playing goal for Arsenal, I just can't explain how big that is. How big that is. You know, goalkeepers, you usually become a better goalkeeper at 25, 26, 27, and the older you get. This kid to be in there at 16, honestly, fair play to him. He takes a lot of credit for the hard work he's done, and fair play to Arsenal for giving him that belief. But that is very rare. I don't think that probably happens too often in football. A 16-year-old makes their debut for a big football club in goal, which is, wow. Honestly, I can't express how much effort and hard work and how talented this kid must be to be playing in goal at 16.
Yeah, absolutely. That I'm sure he's very, very proud himself, as I'm sure Arsenal are of so much youth that they've got at the moment. Another youngster we want to shine a spotlight on, Ethan Nwaneri. I mean, he scored twice. He's had a couple of cameo appearances so far this season as well. But could this be, I guess, the making of him?
He's a good player. The problem is it's so hard. It's hard to go and play for Arsenal on a consistent basis, especially nowadays when you can go and get anybody from around the world. You know, for this kid to be playing and these kids to get given an opportunity, you know, and fair play to Arsenal for giving the opportunity. But at the same time, they're coming into a good football team. They're coming in playing with good players that are full of confidence. You know, your Declan Rices are playing. That helps. Sometimes you find that kids get thrown in when the team's struggling and players are struggling, and then it's hard for them because then you're looking, you think, I've got to rely on the experienced players, and the experienced players are not playing well at the time, so they've got to look after themselves. It's clever the way Arsenal are doing it. They're putting these kids in just at the right time when the team are flying, players around them are full of confidence. But you still got to get on that pitch in front of 60,000 and perform. And fair play to Arsenal and fair play to him. You hear the whispers. The kid's a special player, He's just got given the chance on a consistent basis, but he needs to be patient. He needs to be patient because he is at one of the best clubs in the world, in my opinion. So he needs to be patient.
We've been patiently waiting, haven't we, for Raheem Sterling to finally get a goal for Arsenal, which he did since, you know, his move from Chelsea. What have you made of him so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be over the season. I thought it was a good signing. He didn't get on the other night. I thought that at Man City, I thought that was a little bit worrying. I thought, you know, probably Arteta didn't trust him as much as Jesus, but he's a top player. You know, again, I like them goals. You know, when people are in the 6-yard box and they tap it in, people go, oh, I could have scored that. Well, you couldn't have because you're not in there. You have to get in there. And they're the goals. You're going to score more of them than not. And that's where Sterling got a lot of goals for Man City. He's getting in the 6-yard box. He does get in there, you know, and I'm a big fan of Raheem Sterling's. I was shocked Chelsea let him go. I really was. He was better than some of the wingers at Chelsea, or he was definitely better than one of them. So for me, I was shocked that Chelsea let him go.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll go on from there and score a few more and enjoy his time at Arsenal. We loved, of course, the City-Arsenal match-up at the weekend, but goodness me, huge blow for them, isn't it, with Rodri with this knee ligament injury. Now, we know it requires surgery. He's going to be out for an extended period. Just how big a blow is that for City? Yes, they've got this huge squad, but he's so key for them, isn't he?
Oh, 100%. It's a massive loss. For over the season, I mean, we could say if Haaland got injured for a couple of weeks, they could probably get by with that. This man knits everything together. For all the top draw players that they've got, he knits it all together. He's the main man, in my opinion. He's the one player in the whole world that gets into every team in the world. He gets into, there's not one football team that he doesn't get into. I don't know another player in the world that we could say about but him. And he is a massive miss. He might not be missed over the next 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 games, but as the season revolves and over and we get into the new year, he will be missed at times. There's no doubt, and he gets important goals as well. You know, we've seen that in the Champions League final. This man is phenomenal footballer, and you know that was the major blow for Man City the other day, major blow, and for him himself. You know, as I say, he's a special player.
It does, though. Do you think it changes the way you maybe look at the title race, taking him out and possibly tipping the favour in you know, towards Arsenal now?
I think it brings Arsenal closer to Man City. I think Man City were a little bit ahead of them. I think now, as the season revolves and we get into the new year and without no Rodri, I do think just Man City, because I think they just got a bigger squad and they've got better players all round with squad players, but it's not far off of heads or tails. It's not far off of heads or tails now. I mean, the one thing we all miss about last weekend and then the melee and the time wasting and the sending off and the last minute goal, we've got to remember, Arsenal were 1-0 down and were 2-1 up at half time. Everyone forgets that. You know, Arsenal turned that round 3, 4, 5 years ago. Arsenal are getting beat 3 and 4. They're getting destroyed, absolutely destroyed. This year, different team, completely different team. And I can't remember, you know, off the top of my head, it might have happened a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember. But I can't remember the last time Man City were 1-0 up and 2-1 down at half time at the Etihad. Can't remember it. You know, I can't remember it. And for me, that's the one thing we miss, the fight back by Arsenal. To turn that around, that just shows you how far Arsenal have come, and they are majorly in this title race.
Just finally on this, plenty said about the way that Arsenal, I guess, went about the game at the weekend. Dark arts has been mentioned. How do you see it?
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go down to 10 men. We'll open the game up. We'll get our bellies tickled and we'll get beat 6-2 by Man City. Everything will go away. Pep Guardiola will come on the telly and he'll go, I love Arteta. I love the way he opens the game up and he has a go. No, Arsenal are phenomenal. Bar a last-minute goal, never really looked like scoring. There were void of ideas, Man City, that shocked me more than anything. You got them things have been going on since I was playing. You know, I remember George Graham years ago. We used to play Wimbledon, and Wimbledon liked to roll the ball out. The goalie would roll the ball out as far as he could, and he'd smash it to fashion you, and they'd all melee round it, be on the edge of the box. So George Graham used to say, go and close the goalkeeper down. When they all push on the halfway line, then just run over to the corner flag. And when the ball gets headed back out, you'll be offside and they'll get a free kick in the corner flag. And that's what we were doing. That was 30 odd years ago. Nothing's changed. Probably not as bad as that, Hayley, but that's what it was like for us. We used to do.
The good old days, Paul, the good old days.
Yeah, and then George Graham would say, go down. You know, you'd be under pressure, go down, kill the game, kill the game, get the fans quiet. You know, if a team were putting us under pressure. And in them days, you know, you didn't have to go off for 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So, yeah, it's been going on for years, absolutely years.
Miguel, let's start with the front page of the Telegraph Sport then. Arsenal 5, Bolton 1, young glove at the headline. Keeper Porter, 16 breaks record as Nwaneri, 17 nets twice in rout. After a physical and emotional game against Manchester City, how confidence boosting was this, Miguel?
Yeah, it's a lovely headline. A bit of an elixir as well, as you say, given, well, not just the Manchester City game, but I think that actually took the previous week to extremes for Arsenal. There was obviously a lot of issues, like suspensions, the injuries, the intensity of a derby followed going away to Atlanta, and then, of course, the nature of that game in Manchester City. So to have a run out like that where you can play youth can be revitalising. And I suppose with a lot of the kind of feeling around Arsenal at the moment, the age of that team is a little bit of a throwback as well to maybe kind of some of Wenger's days. And when he would attempt to make a virtue of bringing through young players, especially in the League Cup. And I suppose it just adds to the good feeling as well as maybe just the sort of win that was needed after 3 relatively attritional games for different reasons.
Absolutely. Next up for Arsenal, away to Preston, who are currently 21st in the Championship. David, inside the Telegraph is the headline, Porter and Nwaneri shining lights after week of darts arts controversy. Sam Dean at the game tonight. Experimental, as Miguel says, but, you know, would this be a nice confidence boost to win the League Cup? It's not a competition they've won that often, Arsenal.
It will be one they'll be looking to make progress in, and especially Mikel Arteta. He won the FA Cup in 2020 behind closed doors, not got a trophy since, and this is a presentable opportunity. He has actually named very strong teams in the League Cup in previous seasons and has drawn a bit of criticism for not turning to young homegrown players, questions about the strength of Arsenal's academy at the moment, when you see clubs like Manchester City and Liverpool in particular winning the cup last season with a number of young players. But then tonight that sort of turned on its head. Okay, perhaps a little bit by default in goal with Raya's injury and the fact that Neto was cup tied. But he's shown confidence in Nwaneri, who I thought was absolutely outstanding tonight. If you watch him with both feet, his balance on the half turn, creating, scoring, full of confidence. He's a real part of the first team setup now, just 17 years old. Miles Lewis-Skelly has been in and around it for a little bit too. He came on at City, of course, on Sunday as well. And then even somebody at right back like Josh Nichols, a little bit of action in pre-season. I thought he played really well tonight. And Arteta blended it well with the experienced players too. So, of course, if Arsenal go deeper into the competition and starting at Preston away, they're going to they're going to play more experienced players. That will be tough a weeknight at Deepdale. But this wasn't easy for those young players, even though Bolton are 18th in League One with just a couple of league wins this season. But I think that will be fantastic for them after the City result on Sunday. And it's been a really good couple of weeks for Arsenal. And this kind of, in a way, caps it off and gives them optimism for the future.
Yep, Leicester coming up in the Premier League for Arsenal. Taking the Guardian sport page there. Teenage dream for Nwaneri. Arsenal's 17-year-old fires first goals in Bolton rout. Jota and Gakpo ease Liverpool past West Ham. We'll talk about that in a second. For Nwaneri specifically, Miguel, how important a night, because he made his debut at 15, didn't he? And sometimes there's a lot of expectation on these young players. It can be difficult to realise that.
Yeah, and obviously from 15, he's still there and still thriving. I mean, and there still is very much a lot of expectation around him. He is someone, I mean, the words that have been repeatedly said to me have been basically in the lines of that if he doesn't become an Arsenal regular, something has gone unexpectedly, just because they think that highly of him. And also think he's exactly the player that can eventually slot in to that creative midfield role. But that's also where I suppose it's maybe interesting over the next few weeks, and it's a classic case of potentially crisis being opportunity in the way it used to be in football, I suppose, before big clubs had quite so much wealth and spending power. Obviously, PSR has imposed on that. But, I mean, obviously, ideally, Arsenal would not want an injury to Martin Odegaard. But given they've come through this difficult spell of games, given they've got at least superficially or on the surface a bit of a forgiving spell now, that's potentially the opportunity to blood a player like Nwaneri, to give him some proper minutes and allow him to get a proper feel for the first team in the Premier League without too much pressure. You'd think maybe bringing him on in the Leicester game, maybe even starting him, might be the option now. But certainly there's a lot of hope for him and and now there's opportunity as well to go with that.
Yeah, just wonder what the future holds for Arsenal. Nice tweet post on X from the official Arsenal account. I think we can show you that. Young Gunners making us proud illustrates just how young they are as well. David, what's your sense on this? All the clubs want to bring through fantastic talent. Could this be a special generation? We still look back on those class of 92 pictures with fondness, don't we?
I think that's possibly going a bit far. A bit of caution needs to be exerted on this, because if you speak to people within football and with real expertise on the youth scene, Arsenal have had a bit of a struggle in this cycle, and that's no major criticism. It does happen, and these things are cyclical. So there are some of the younger age groups at Arsenal who are really exciting, such as the under-16s from what I hear. But in this one, it really did seem to be Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly. But tonight and on the bench in Europe against Atalanta, even at City, started to see a few more emerging as an absolutely outstanding talent coming through at Arsenal, one of the best in the country, Max Dowman. And so we'll be seeing a bit more of him in recent years. But we've heard so much on and seen so much, rightly so, on Manchester City, on Liverpool, on Chelsea, Manchester United. Now maybe Arsenal coming back to the fore. And that's such an important part of their sort of DNA and their history, as Mig said earlier, with Arsene Wenger and Mikel Arteta perhaps hasn't done it as much, and understandably so. But now perhaps he has an opportunity to. And really, when I see Nwaneri play, I think he can slot in and get regular game time in that creative position. And also, he's an important part of his country's plans as well, under 17 Euros over the summer, and then going forward to the upper age groups. You know, we're talking about lacking creative players perhaps at international level over the last decade or so, but maybe it looks like some are coming through now, and Nwaneri is certainly one of them.